but then we find him dead in the basement. So then we have to figure out who killed him and how they did it.
Oh my.
Yeah. Naturally, all of our co-detectives suspect that we did it. He wasn't really a friend. Basically, in the opening scene of the game, there's someone called the Quartering Duke. He takes over live broadcasts and murders people in real time on the live broadcasts. And he's been doing this for over 100 victims. So your main character is trying to find out who is behind that, and was recruited into a detective guild to work on that case with other expert detectives. However, our main character is kind of an amateur, so him being recruited is weird, and he was following a suspect for an unrelated case who ended up being this senior detective that's a part of this detectives guild. This senior detective decided to say, hey, I think I want you to join us, I think you have potential, but then we ended up finding him dead. And, like, dismembered, so, like, pretty disgustingly destroyed. Rosen, it was not you. Commotion erupts as the detectives speak over each other. Which, of course, is unsurprising. Other than me, nobody else was in the manor at the time Senior Detective died. On top of that, this murder required enough time for a full dismemberment. In what possible way could he have been killed? Ideal Detective has only just arrived here, but her hydrangea-like eyes glimmer like gems as if they've picked up on something. The outline of the case is clear. All that remains is for us to pool our efforts and ascertain the reality of the situation. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it's time to make our reprisal. Soon enough, the other detectives join us at the scene. Oh damn, Senior, to think your time would come so soon. Just how many trials does the Lord expect us to endure? Wait, are these the other detectives? I vow that I, Mystic Detective, shall send the culprit straight to hell. Mark my words, Quartering Duke, the flames below burn hot. Yeah, I see the ML Bologna one, she looks great. But you weren't even close to Senior Detective, the girl said, coldly stating the facts. You mustn't mock our bond, Bookie. Members of the DA are spiritually bound, soulmates. The extent of our interactions is irrelevant. Repulsive spiritual intimacy aside, I confer. The Quartering Duke must pay. The girl said, fists shaking at the thought of her adversary. So Bookie is the one, the short one, because she's holding a book, obvi. So I'll probably change her voice. Let's just call the one on the left one Crescent. A middle-aged man in anachronistic Western garments and a black-haired girl clutching a hardcover book approach the body chatting. The man has the mien of a seasoned veteran. The girl, on the other hand, looks around 10, yet doesn't flinch at the sight of a corpse. Both of them must be experienced detectives. Oh, I see. I, Posh Detective, ranked number 5 in the DA, have already arrived at the crux of this mystery. The woman dressed so elegantly that she looks out of place jabs a finger at me. Our culprit is the commoner found unconscious, incompetent detective. The hastily hidden knife on the second floor proves he was unable to escape. Oh dear me. There I go again, demonstrating my incredible acumen. Perhaps it's time I took the reins as chief instead. Now, hold on a moment. Didn't Ideal reject that theory just now? I beg your pardon? Her theory is the one that's utter hogwash, I'm sure. Isn't that right, Mermaid Detective? A woman called Posh Detective speaks to someone in a motorcycle suit. Smiles as if she's enjoying herself. I wonder about that. Anyway, I don't smell Renegade lingering around. Where'd he go? Snack break? Upon arriving, he decided to abstain, stating that this case didn't interest him. I imagine you'll find him napping in the first floor living room. Napping? Even though Senior Detective, a legend in our field, has been killed? Why, I never. Just what is that man thinking? Renegade's non-conforming nature is his strong suit. I'm sure he'll put his talents to use later on, so let's leave him be for now. Leadership like this is why high-ranking agents defy your orders. Classified detective and detective gentleman didn't even deign to show up. On the honor of the Pinkerton name, I swear that I will wrest the title of chief from you. Okay, yeah, we like this one. I can't pass up a fan-chan. Ideal Detective doesn't flinch, and merely smiles at Posh Detective's belligerence. Thank you, Posh. Zealous subordinates such as yourself allow me to plunge into my work without fear, despite the risk. Should the enemy ever succeed in removing me from the front lines, I entrust the Detective Alliance to you. I'll thank you not to speak of such ominous things. Your achievements far surpass mine. Nothing of the sort could ever happen. I shall supplant your position by my own merits. Be sure of it, my destined rival. Workaholic Detective explains the situation to those who arrive from the facility. Once he's finished, Ideal Detective addresses us. As you can see, Senior Detective, believed to be the last surviving member from the Detective Alliance headquarters, has been murdered. Which means in all likelihood that the perpetrator is a part of the DA as well. Cocoa Head Detective. Tensions rise across the room. Some detectives look at each other, while others turn their gazes at me. It doesn't seem like they're going to stop suspecting me anytime soon. That common pleb simply must be the killer. My highborn brain cells reassure me so. I agree. Rationally speaking, no one but incompetent could be the culprit. His story is dubious from A to Z. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit suspicious of him, just because he's pressing us so hard. Though you too are of common birth, your words ring true. I grant you leave to sing my praises, Workaholic Detective, loud and clear. I wasn't actually praising you. Let's begin by clearing up the most fundamental misapprehension. Incompetent detective is no intruder. I personally invited him to our meeting as a formal member. You personally invited him? But why? Workaholic addresses the elephant in the room. Even I'm hearing this for the first time. I have no idea what she intends for me. I might have to save the rest of this. This is a big bowl of food. As if sensing my confusion, Ideal Detective's eyes met my own. His hydrangea-hued irises implore me to trust her. It's simple, really. I wish to have the person I trust most at my side. You may not remember, but he once saved my life. I consider his potential abilities to be no less than extraordinary. So wait, is this Flashback Chan? It could be, right? I requested that Senior Detective invite him to the island, but I didn't anticipate his methods would involve kidnapping and confinement. Workaholic Detective's mouth hangs open as Ideal Detective casually explains the unexpected. Which makes sense. This is an extreme mixture of business and private affairs. I can tell he's in no state to even begin questioning her. Real quick, guys, I'm gonna go and package my dinner leftovers real quick, and then we will come back, and I will be doing more of this. So quick moment. Okay, I am back and ready to bang out visual novel mode. Sorry about that, guys. It was just dinner time shenanigans going on. Oh! Hello, Chief. Would you like a quick rundown of this game? If you're gonna be lurking. Okay, so basically, you are playing as a detective, a young, kind of amateurish detective, and there is a killer, a mass serial murderer on the loose, who goes by the Quartering Duke. The Quartering Duke's style of murder is he takes over live broadcasts, whether it be streams or television, and he puts people in animal outfits and then kills them. In real time, on camera, and then cuts the signal and you resume watching what you were watching. He's done this to over 100 people, and he's inspired lots of other crazy people who are copycat killers. Pengy always sounds insane when he recaps VNs, please excuse him. So, our main character was investigating a low-grade copycat killer called the Pet Killer, who just kills people's pets, which is really fucked up. And he was tailing this older guy in a city, but then the older guy knew he was following him and confronts him. It comes to light that the older guy is actually not the suspect, and he's in fact, he goes by Senior Detective, which it means he's a part of a group of detectives, like a top secret group that is all like amazing detectives, and all of them have aliases that describe who they are or something about them. So like there's Senior Detective because he's older than the other people in the Detective Alliance. It's called the DA actually. Detectives, is it Detective Alliance? I actually can't remember. But anyways, he basically tells the MC that he wants him to join them in investigating the Quartering Duke, and the MC isn't given the option to refuse. However, he gets District Attorney. No. He gets knocked out by the old man and wakes up in the middle of an island by himself. And he has a D-pad, which is basically like a tablet that all these fancy detectives get. And it has a recorded message from the Senior Detective telling him, like, hey, I need you to go to this mansion on this cliff because you're going to meet up with all the other people working on this case that are also detectives. So, and he says, oh, you're going to see a facility on the way there. Do not go in no matter what. So we beeline for this mansion. We get in. As soon as we enter the mansion, we're knocked out. And then the next thing we know, we're waking up and there's a bunch of detectives surrounding us, this guy included, and they're like, who the F are you? So then they talk, they interrogate you for a bit, and it comes to light that you are in fact someone that met with Senior Detective and was being recruited into the agency. They didn't know about it, but the story is that you're to help them discover who the Quartering Duke is. They're a little bit weary of you, but they decide to accept you. Then they say, okay, so we're supposed to meet up with the Senior Detective, and he's supposed to be here in this mansion, but we can't find him. So they go looking for him and eventually find a secret passageway that leads them into this basement. This basement has a long corridor filled with traps, and eventually they find this room, and the Senior Detective is totally butchered inside. So, they are trying to figure out who possibly could have killed the Senior Detective, and naturally they have reason to suspect that the person that did the murder could not have escaped the mansion, which means it has to be somebody in their group that did it at some point. I think that's actually a pretty good recap. Did I forget any major points? Anybody? I think that was actually fairly concise. But you know what? It helps that we've only had one session to recap, and it wasn't like Fata Morgana, where we had literally like 15 sessions to try to summarize. Anyways. Not to mention, I'm quite surprised myself. I saved her life? But we've only just met. I have more questions than I can count, but at the very least, this does make me seem a bit less suspicious. Now's not the time to make any clumsy comments. So I stay quiet and let Ideal Detective take the floor. Is that really true? Something smells fishy to me. It's true what they say. Your nose is unmatched. But please, suspect away. There's nothing to feel guilty about. So, if incompetent isn't the killer, who is? All of us, save for the incompetent, were in the research facility when Senior got in touch with us, so we were all away from the scene. Excellent question, Doleful. That very occurrence is what caused you all to suspect incompetent, correct? That was the culprit's first trap. Senior Detective's message was not in fact sent from down in this basement. But Senior Detective was unquestionably killed here after making contact, wasn't he? The girl asked the chief with full sincerity. I have it. His spirit was compelled to contact us post-mortem. Quite possible with the right voodoo ritual. Keep quiet, you occult-obsessed twit, snapped the girl, scolding the man for his useless comment. Naturally, Mystic is incorrect, but making the dead speak is a step in the right direction. I've tested it, and this basement has no signal. Contacting the outside simply isn't possible from here. I beg your pardon? The other detectives pipe up in shock. Does this mean that Senior Detective was restrained somewhere other than the basement when he made contact? Or it was a recorded message, you know? Did we talk about that possibility at all? That can't be right. There were 20 minutes between the message being sent and the detective's arrival at the mansion. It would be impossible to drag someone down that narrow, wire-filled passage. Not to mention dismembering them in so short of a time frame. It's a fact that Senior contacted us, no? If not from the basement, how else could he have done it? It's a simple trick, really, once you've thought it out. The culprit? The culprit imitated Senior's voice, just as I'm doing right now. Ideal Detective sounds just like Senior Detective as she speaks. If my eyes were closed, I may well have mistaken her for the man himself. She's that skilled at impersonating him. Vocal mimicry, hmm? That's certainly a possibility if the killer is the kind of person I imagine them to be. Vocal mimicry. I've heard about this historical skill from my mentor. It originated from Edo period theater. He told me how there were established modes of practice and that in the DA, where disguises often came in handy, many were experts in the art. Though I doubt I could ever master it, no matter how hard I tried. Why is it that you're so certain the culprit is part of the Detective Alliance? So it actually is Detective Alliance. If a traitor lurks in our midst, then the massacre at Snark's would be plausible enough, as would the idea of a fake message from Senior Detective. Such criminal acts would be feasible for another detective, paradoxically increasing the odds that one is indeed the culprit. Exactly. A mere intruder killing 22 research facility detectives would be inconceivable. This was most assuredly an inside job. We were unable to control our turmoil when we discovered the bodies in the facility, and so did the traitor among us bide their time. The killer would have an easy time manipulating us through a call. A far easier time than slipping up through the ceiling into the entrance hall. What? Oh, I actually don't remember the voice. Oh, I gave her the Ava voice, right? Hold up, I don't care how cool detectives are. No way they can just copy people's voices. Verily, my training earned me mighty thews. Yet my vocal cords remain middling at best. Such mimicry is out of the question. I'll concede that it couldn't normally be done, but we are facing someone who easily slew a dozen of our comrades. No normal killer, to be sure. If we are professionals in logic and reason, then our opponent is a specialist in homicide. One of the two impossible feats would hardly faze them. Don't let your perception limit your perspective. Bodily alterations, unfeasible acts, a murderous fiend will stop at nothing to achieve their aims. Both of them fall silent at Ideal Detective's words. Her persuasiveness holds a weight that brooks no argument. If that phone message was falsified, Chief, then by the time we received it, Senior was... Precisely. He was already dead, or at least in no state to speak. The culprit used the call to tamper with the chronology of the crime. So the dismembered body is meant to make us think this was done by the quartering Duke, as well as distort the time of death. How ingenious. My deepest apologies for allowing the killer's ploy to deceive me. It would seem I still have much more to learn. Workaholic Detective hangs his head. Ideal Detective smiles gently at him before continuing to speak. The culprit set up Senior's death in here and fled with his D-pad. Then, per their plan, they contacted me as we investigated Snarks. In doing so, they summoned the DA members to the manor so that the Senior's body would be discovered. Hold up, boss. We all heard that recording you made of old Senior's message, right? Is it even remotely scientifically possible that none of us would notice his voice wasn't the same? That would be due to the peculiarities of human memory. The human brain excels at recalling visuals, but struggles to do the same with linguistic and auditory information. Because of this, it is not uncommon for people to be incapable of identifying a caller on the phone, even if it's someone they know well. They often say that a client's name is easier to remember when associated with a voice or face. Things grow hazier with words and sound alone. Yeah, sometimes once you hear a person's name on the phone, your memory makes the connection with their voice. Same diff. Bank transfer scams are a prime example. The scammer begins by providing the caller's name, so you will fall for it even if their voice doesn't match. You end up convincing yourself that any oral discrepancies are the result of a poor connection. Speaking of, Old Man Senior's message was like totally screwy and static. I could barely hear him. Was that just a cover-up? Likely so. The whole thing seems contrived. If you knew all this, then why respond to the summons? Dispatching detectives to follow the whims of a killer? The gall! Because I wanted to believe it was him. For the first time, Ideal Detective's expression grows dark and serious. If the culprit was impersonating Senior, it meant he couldn't speak. It meant I would never see him alive again. That was why I decided to split our forces in two, all the while hoping that Senior still lived. By virtue of their self-defense expertise, I sent Armor and Rowdy to the manor in case there were any traps. But as you can tell, my conjecture was right on the mark. I've never detested my powers of insight as much as I do today. Her mirthless, sorrowful laughter startles me. I realize now that those skilled at deductive reasoning can also foresee the grim future. Ideal Detective predicted the death of her friend. The pain she's feeling must be greater than I can even imagine. However, a detective's job is not to lament tragedies, but to unravel the truths behind them and reverse their bleak outcomes. Our 23 murdered comrades will not go unavenged. On this, you have my word. Ladies and gentlemen, I call upon your aid. If all 13 of us combine our efforts, I know for a fact we can stop the quartering Duke. What are all their names? So, all of their names are aliases used by them when they're in the DA to protect their real name from being leaked. We don't know anyone's name. Just the MC. Oh. So there's There's Ideal Detective, who's the leader. There was Senior Detective, rest in peace. Incompetent Detective, who's the MC. Rowdy Detective, who's like this annoying, like, sporty spice in your face girl. Anti-death note measure, yes, very that. Techie Detective, who's the kid in the wheelchair. Downtown Detective is the girl that's like this all the time, with the preppy girl voice. The ones... Oh, there's Doleful Detective. He's like very gender ambiguous appearance, and apparently has like the best intuition out of all of them and can sense danger. Workaholic Detective is the like calm-mannered guy that suspected us at first. Then there's the ones we just met, which are Bookie Detective, the Priest Detective guy, I can't remember his name, Spiritual Detective maybe? Oh, there's Armor Detective, who's in a full-ass armored suit. And then the ML Bologna girl, what was her name? Posh Detective. Oh, and then there's this big-breasted woman, I don't remember what her title is, but she's here too. The Armin Detective. Oh, that's... I wonder if they spell out something. I don't think so. They spell out Quartering Duke! Just kidding. It's incredible to think that they were all arguing just moments ago. In such a short amount of time, the strength of her abilities and resolve has gained the trust of her fellow detectives. Now, without further ado, there's something I'd like us all to investigate. I'll send the details via D-pad. For now, please go where instructed. I have a vague sense of what really happened here. By the time you've finished, the truth should take shape and reveal itself before us. Ladies and gentlemen of the Detective Alliance, let us reverse this tragedy. After receiving directions from Ideal Detective, the others take their leave from the basement to begin their investigations. We had been divided into teams of 3, leaving Ideal Detective, Armor Detective, and myself with the crime scene. Ideal Detective appears to be deep in thought, so I decide to join Armor Detective in examining the body. True to the Quartering Duke's name, the victim's head, arms, and legs have all been severed away from the torso. The more I look, the more horrific the manner of death appears. It's so savage, I can't believe the culprit is even human. But the cruel truth is inescapable. What lies before us is the depraved work of not a monster, but a person. Sir Incompetent, even if the culprit used a wire, do these cross-sections on the corpse not appear too clean to you? Yeah, this is Jam. Cross-sections. Grudgingly, I take a closer look at the severed parts. They've been cut so perfectly straight, it seems unnatural. Surely a human body couldn't be that easy to slice clean through. Ew, not showing a ham for this. No matter how keen a wire's edge may be, by no means should mere human strength saw through a limb in one smooth stroke. When cutting paper with scissors, the blade's path shifts each time you part and join them, does it not? True. And the more you try to correct it, the more misshapen it gets, if only subtly. Wait, so then the culprit didn't use human strength, but rather some other method to wind the wire around the senior detective. Akane, next level chainsaw skills. Yeah, Akane she has the cleanest cuts, it's true. Another method, of course, this could only mean... It could only mean... I haven't the faintest clue. Me neither. Maybe he fell from somewhere. Both of our shoulders droop. Come to think of it, why is blood dripping from the ceiling? Does human blood have the force to spray that high into the air? Huh? You're right. The whole ceiling splattered red. What could have caused that? Eureka! Did you figure something out, Armor? Indeed, I have determined that we are woefully unfit for this task. 'Twould seem mystery solving is far beyond our ken. You don't mince words, do you? True to his appearance, Armor really does fall on the bronze end of the spectrum. It takes all kinds to be a detective, I guess. However, being that I'm the top suspect in this case, his candor and utter lack of suspicion are a total relief. Though he does strike me as kind of an enigma somehow. I see you've managed to relax a bit, Incompetent. Ideal Detective approaches, visibly enjoying herself. I'm glad that deer in the headlights look from before has melted away, though I suppose it did have its charms. Were you able to sort out whatever was on your mind, Ideal? Yes, I've nearly deduced every element of this case. All that's left is to have the rest of you set to work finding the evidence. We've only just started, and already she's pieced together the truth of the situation. With intellect like hers, it's no wonder she's the de facto head and second highest ranked member of the DA. If I may, Lady Ideal, wherefore did you station me here? I scarcely believe you would require my assistance. You would be correct. Frankly, I have low expectations of you, Armor, as far as your powers of deduction are concerned. Ideal gives a quick, straightforward reply to the point where it's almost impressive. However, no one defends others with as much sincerity as you. Your personality impacts the team far more than you realize. It's because Incompetent feels comfortable around you that he's able to tackle the case with a calm mind. Isn't that right? I nod. She's hit the nail on the head. I'm much more at ease now than when everyone was clustered around me earlier. It's probably due to how much I already trust Armor, as well as how confident I am that he would protect me from danger. Though if I'm being honest, there's nothing more in here worth examining at this stage. Come again? So all of our investigation efforts were for nothing? However, that is precisely why I can say with certainty that you were on the right track. Wonderfully done, both of you. Were another detective skilled in deduction around, I'm sure you would have picked up on a multitude of other points. Our success lies in teamwork, considering how much progress was made by combining your strengths rather than working alone. I kept you here with me because I was positive that you could understand how crucial this concept can be. Ideal Detective's voice brushes against us with a gentle comfort. At this moment, I see her not as our mature, mysterious leader, but for the young girl she is, as if her mask has slipped off. Now then, let's give the other detectives their next instructions. And stay close if you would. I wish to avoid moving alone. With that, Ideal Detective leads us out of the basement. Interesting that she mentioned not moving alone. There is nary a soul before the passageway. Where could the other detectives have gone to investigate? Perhaps you should try using the map function on your D-pad. As she speaks, Ideal Detective shows us the screen with her own device. Ah! This is a map of the manor. See, each detective's position is marked. Anyone who has the location sharing feature turned on will appear here. It's set to on by default, but there are times you may prefer to turn it off, such as when visiting the restroom. Incredible! You can see where everybody is at just a glance. But I do not spy Lady Downtown, Sir Workaholic, or Lady Rowdy. Indeed. I asked them to stand guard outside. There's a possibility the culprit may have fled there, you see. What? Then let us sally forth as well. We cannot allow the fair maidens to stroll about outside whilst a killer is on the prowl. Moments after shouting this, armored detective rushes towards the entrance. Off he goes. With Workaholic and Rowdy there, they should be fine, but... well, let's leave him be. There are some things I wanted to tell you alone anyway, incompetent. Ideal Detective continues her explanation. The map has 3 additional features. First is the marking function, which flags mystery points, locations the detectives find dubious. Try checking these marked points if your investigation stalls out. Now, do you see how that one spot on the map is a different color? That is a location that I have personally deemed suspicious. As an evidence square, you can assume these are areas that contain hidden evidence. Finally, there's the share action function, used by each individual to share whatever it is they are currently up to. As a demonstration, let's try moving the cursor over to Bookmark Detective. You should immediately be able to tell what she's doing. Okay, this is an interesting feature. A detective's next actions, such as infer or inspect, will be displayed overhead. Okay. So the one with the pipe, I'm guessing, is infer. And inspect is the magnifying glass. Yeah, this game's music is quite good, actually. Hover the cursor over a detective to see where they intend to move next. So this is like a board game almost. I'm getting Clue vibes a little bit. Ah, yay! Thanks for the affiliate anniversary wishes, friends. Such an odd feeling about the fireplace. Oh, she has an odd feeling about the fireplace. Bookworm truly does have good sense for this, but I doubt she'll figure it out by herself. So here's a question for you, incompetent. What would you do if you encountered a mystery you couldn't solve on your own? Ask for help. Your experience just now is already paying off. I like people who are quick on the uptake. The two of us are in accord. When faced with a problem you cannot solve alone, you must seek aid from your companions. Yeah, where was a use a guide option? But detectives are such prideful creatures, and sadly most conduct their investigations alone, so they lack experience collaborating. From what I've seen so far, Bookworm is one such example. Encouraging her to cooperate would likely be pointless. So what should I do then? Ideal Detective answers me with a smile. You should intervene. On their investigation, that is. Intervene? In other words, use the D-pad to instruct them to do something other than their current task. Mystic is nearby, so he'll suffice. Let's have him make his way to Bookworm so that they can investigate together. Now, issue the command if you would. Huh? I freeze up as she casually orders me to do something completely unexpected. Why so stiff? Honestly, you're too cute. I'm merely asking you to pretend to be me and give some direction, that's all. That's all? What Ideal Detective is asking for isn't so easy to just gloss over. Even so, her expression remains dead serious. It'll be fine, like sending an email. Here's my D-pad. Try issuing a command to him. But why me? Facing the unknown is precisely what a detective is obligated to do. Everything is a chance to gain experience, so go on. This... okay, her explaining this to us as like a game mechanic that we're going to be used while we go through this actually makes me worried that she's gonna die. Because like, she's the leader. And she has like an admin privilege of commanding the other detectives, so like... it makes me think. Doesn't seem like I can back out of this one. I'll have to try giving some instructions. Intervene with detectives to reassign their independently planned actions. Detectives left to their own devices will make errors, investigate alone, and generally act inefficiently. She's Answer Bank Chan, so she's either Kyoko or she's dead, I agree. That's why I'm literally using my Kyoko voice for her, so... She gave off death flags as soon as she appeared. Oh, what's up, Bubble One? So, wait a minute. She said earlier that we saved her life. Does that mean that she's the girl that we saw in our flashback? Or maybe she's one of the other kids that got kidnapped and was able to escape because we created a diversion or something. The girl who stands behind, oh, that's not... Intervene with these individuals and make them work together in order to facilitate a more efficient investigation process. To have Mystic cooperate with Bookworm, simply move him to a spot beside her. 9 hours remain until annihilation? Why did it say that? Take a look. Okay, so wait, what are these? Yeah, what is this menu? See how even with both their inference values combined, they are unable to solve the mystery of that fireplace? Inference. Analyzation, inspection, assistance movement. But at times like these, you should give a command to a detective who is skilled at assisting. Detectives are able to assist each other from adjacent positions. Any character who is making an inference already or plans to do so can be assisted. Assisting lets you add a helper's assist value to the individual's inference value. Okay, so pair up. Oh, and that's what these numbers mean! Utilize this command to properly keep your investigation on track. So they can actually do it. Nicely instructed, I'm impressed. I can already feel that their powers of inference have been enhanced. Now they should easily discover whatever that fireplace is hiding. Alright, let's check the entrance hall next. Posh is keeping the area near the chandelier all to herself. Gourmet and Doleful are holding back to give her space. Holding back, however, is unacceptable in an investigation. Let's have Gourmet assist Posh with investigating the chandelier. Each mystery point has a set amount of resolution. You can uncover an MP's secret by reducing its RP to 0. By having Gourmet Detective assist Posh. Okay. You just want a higher value, right? You didn't actually miss too much, Nano. Welcome, by the way. Basically they're introducing the actual gameplay side, which appears to be like a clue board where you can position your fellow detectives and have them investigate, and then you go talk to them to uncover clues. So it's actually interesting. I wasn't expecting there to be a gameplay element to this outside of the visual novel, but I'm kind of here for it. Also, the music that is playing here is really nice. Excellent. You're a quick study, it seems. Oh, we met 4 more detectives, Nano. Posh Detective, gourmet detective, spirit guy detective. I don't know what his title was, and bookworm detective. Now, what should we have Doleful do? Do you know what skill he excels at? Mystic is his name. Okay, got it. Doleful skilled at discovering evidence. You actually use their skills interactively rather than doing everything directly told to you. Yeah, I think that each of them is gonna like be good at something, and you're supposed to use their individual abilities to uncover the mysteries. That's actually super sick. Precisely, he has a wonderfully observant eye, indispensable in a detective. Let's not do anything and watch everyone die. Well, they haven't explained why it said that. It said 9 hours until, like, annihilation, and I'm like... What? What is annihilating us? Or maybe elimination, it said. That would make more sense because of the title of the game. But whatever. 9 hours, 9 hours, 9 hours. Doleful's key characteristic is that he always draws danger to himself. As a result, he is more predisposed to finding clues. Let's have Doleful use that special trait of his to inspect that area near the chandelier. I'm willing to bet there's a clue left behind there. Also, we were suspecting that Ideal Detective might die soon. As Rosen very much eloquently puts, she's Answer Bank-chan. And those usually don't stick around in these games. Also, it's from her detective iPad that she's able to issue these commands, and she's explaining it to the player, which makes me think she won't be in charge forever because we need to be the one directing the other characters later in the game. So I'm worried for her. I'm very worried for her. She might not die, she might just not investigate with us past this one. That could also be a route. Nano, avert your eyes, I know. This is a Nano character, she has blue hair and a ribbon. Evidence squares contain evidence within. Detectives can find these hidden clues by performing an inspection. An inspection's range varies with an individual's inspection value. For example, Doleful is able to inspect up to 5 squares away. She might fake her death and reveal herself as 0. That would be... Goodness, how awful. She also might have been murdered by someone from the future, but Schrodinger's cat, so you don't actually... Something, suit of armor. Okay, I got it. An inspection range varies with an individual's inspection value. For example, Doleful's able to inspect up to 5 squares away. Try intervening with Doleful to have him inspect the evidence square. Bravo, that was an ideal command you gave. I'm swelling with pride. Alright, that's enough warming up. It's time to raise the curtains on this detective show. Give the order to start the investigation and keep an eye on the passage of time. Once the detective's actions are set, press Options to access main menu and select Investigate or Preliminary. Upon selecting Investigate, the detectives that you have intervened with will follow your commands, while the rest will act independently. In a preliminary investigation, only those you have intervened with will act. It is wise to begin with this, as you can uncover new mysteries or clues. While we haven't intervened with Techie, there isn't much to do. So let's start the investigation anyway. We still have to go here. Oh yeah, Techie's over here. What's up with that? Okay, time to inspect this area. Here I go. Ah! I tripped again. Huh? Part of the carpet's been cut off. Wonder why. So wait, we already know that there's space in the floorboards, right? So we're thinking... Alright. Who knows physics? They were saying that if you cut somebody with a wire, it wouldn't cleanly cut through the human. Because there's just gonna be natural resistance, like if you're cutting through flesh. But what if you fell from a height into the sharp object? The cut would be cleaner, right? Because there'd be force of gravity pushing you into it. So if you fall onto the thing, it would create clean cuts. The question is, how do you make somebody fall so that exactly their head, arms, and legs are sliced? But why would you cut the carpet to do that? That doesn't really support my theory. I'm just thinking aloud. Like, they said that the basement is directly under this room right here, and that's where the carpet is. No, I don't want to murder. I'm just trying to solve... See, I'm Detective Peggy-chan. But I got like a C in physics in high school, so don't trust me. This is a queen now. Why should I cooperate with you? I can handle this alone, thank you very much. Okay, I do not like this character even a little bit. Why does she have the Elvira tongue? Now, a fine cut of meat is even tastier with the right seasonings. Yes. Oh, thank God she doesn't do it all the time. I thought she was always gonna be Elvira. Elvira tongue with the Arya chests. She's getting hungry. In other words, Posh, you can use me to spice up your deductions. That's a fair point. Very well. Enhance my flavor, gourmet. Diamond. Rock Destroyers made it into the game. Well, I have to change her voice now. The chandelier is all nicked up. Fuck, I mean Posh. Can you take a look at this? I'm not gonna, that's not gonna be her voice. That's not. That was a one time only. Huh? These scratches, could they be a hint as to how the culprit killed Senior Detective? The chandelier was used? Oh, these two. Nano's gonna like this one too. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like Bookworm Detective. Her aesthetic is giving Rachel Alucard, but in a school uniform. So that's like a triple S design for me. Yeah, apparently it was Sia. Why must I investigate with you? Asked the girl, her lips pouting in dissatisfaction. Not what I expected when I heard bookworm. Yeah. Don't say that. Think of this as a chance to learn from your father. Hearts do hold a rustic charm, though having to add the firewood every time is a bit of a hassle. Firewood? That's it. I mean... So that's it. Mused the girl, finally pinning down what seemed amiss. Work of? Your directions have truly made a difference in how well the investigation is progressing. When I arrived, you pushed the others to work together. It was remarkably pertinent of you. The key difference between detectives and the police is that while we may be an organization, we solve cases alone rather than together. To put it unkindly, detectives see themselves as the lead role in an investigation. Thus, our capability as a team of experts goes unrealized. If we're to take on the Quartering Duke, we can't abide reckless behavior. Let's you and I take the lead in encouraging everyone to collaborate. How could someone like me do that? There's no way any of those detectives would follow what I say. Plus, they don't even need me. Ideal detective alone should be able to hold them together. Your tendency to downplay yourself is a virtue, but also a weakness you will be forced to address someday. Ideal detective speaks as though she can see into my very soul. Leaders who make history are often said to be cowards. Listen likely because they fixate not on their potentials, but their limits. Setting her up to be gone? Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. Know your weaknesses, and in time, you will know all of your strengths. I'm confident you will go through this as well, Competent. Why do you have so much faith in me? Her eyes open wide, fretting over something with an unfocused gaze. I'd say I can't tell you yet, but that would be selfish of me, wouldn't it? I should let you know before something happens. Before something happens, you say. Like your death, perhaps, Ideal. The true reason I called you here, that is. The elusive air around her now feels tense. I'm frozen in place as her hydrangea-hued eyes stare at me. My heart is hammering, and my body feels hot all over. Competent. My name is... What? Run, Incompetent! Huh? That moment, a powerful force crushes me, and my vision goes black. Someone suddenly leaps on my back, taking me to the floor. My head spins, sparks explode behind my eyes, and my consciousness grows hazy. Through it all, I can feel a strong pressure on my throat. Gah! As my voice involuntarily slips out, I finally realize that someone is strangling me. I can't breathe. My mind starts to fade, and my whole body starts to go pale. I flail about in desperation, catching nothing but air. If this keeps up, I know for a fact that it's going to kill me. Oh. Renegade detective, stop! Are you alright, Incompetent? What in the world are you thinking, Renegade detective? Turn off your D-pad's location sharing, and you can pull off as many ambushes as you want, the way I did just now. Uh-oh. The best viewers are back with a vengeance. Bye. I wanted to show you the dangers of burying your head in that device, how easily you can slip and lose your footing. Forgive me, Holmes. You're talking to the wrong person. Incompetent here deserves a deep, sincere apology. Hurry now, or that charm on your neck will pop. Okay. Got my priorities screwed up. Sorry. The lanky man has a nonchalant air about him. He turns to me wearing a fake smile. Name's Renegade Detective. I'm a virtuous investigator with a penchant for practical jokes. My favorite phrase is world peace, and I spend my free time volunteering. Hope we can get along. Your conversation was so serious I just had to butt in with some levity. My bad. Can you ever forgive me? You will, won't you? Thanks. He prattles on with his with his apology, finishing up with a cackle. I startle when I notice a line of blood dripping down my neck. Is it really that funny to choke someone so hard that your nails rip their skin? I was genuinely prepared to die. How far is this guy willing to take a joke? Come on, don't look so scared. Didn't it give you that tingling feeling? And now he's beaming at me, face flushed with joy. Out of all the detectives I've met, this is by far the most incomprehensible. As fickle as ever, but this time you've gone too far. Do so again and I will exercise my authority as chief to restrain you. Ideal Detective's voice grows harsher as she steps up to Renegade Detective. Renegade jokingly leaps back in an overdramatic fashion. Oh, absolutely, dear Holmes. I sure would hate to be so inconvenienced. Your word is my command. I'll hold you to that. Now, tell us what you've gathered about this case. I take it that you too have seen the truth of the matter. Renegade's eyes grow wide. He sighs. Got me. It did feel a bit out of character, the way you got so upset. You planned to make me swear I'd cooperate from the very start, huh? Of course. Only second-rate detectives are controlled by their emotions. The finest use them as a weapon. Ideal Detective smiles in triumph, so her harsh tone just now was a lie. I was completely fooled. Well, it was worth it to see a rare glimpse of your fury, so fine, I'll share my thoughts with you. This case is too transparently pure. So boring, it makes me nauseous. Culprit must be so self-satisfied. There's no beauty in it, not in the least. Killing should be ugly, beyond redemption, gnarled by emotion, oozing, cloudy, grimy. That's what makes it so fascinating. What are you talking about? His words are utter nonsense. What's more, he says it all so casually, it's as if he's telling a joke. Just listening to him makes my skin crawl. I'm not equipped to understand the person standing before me. Even the scene of the murder was less chilling than him. No need for guesswork, it's all plain as day. Check out that scrap of carpet. If my theory is right, some evidence should be left there. Better show me a good time, oh future legends. And with that, Renegade Detective taps my shoulder and departs. A rather peculiar detective, that one. Yeah, it was like... I stopped myself just in time. It was like talking to a villain, but I obviously can't say that. Why'd she smile like that earlier? I don't know. I kind of thought he might be the one that killed the old guy. It's like talking to a villain, right? I guess we'll find out, Nano. Ideal Detective speaks my thoughts for me without reservation. Your intuition is spot on. As a matter of fact, he killed his mother and father with his very own hands during his youth. He's an actual murderer? His own parents, too. How is someone like that even in the Detective Alliance? Doesn't matter if he did it as a kid. Letting him have this much freedom is unimaginable. Why was he let into the Alliance? I just can't fathom. It makes me suspect that he might even be the quartering Duke. The reason is simple. No detective understands homicidal maniacs better than he does. He's been granted a degree of freedom on the condition that he uses his unique skills to work with the Detective Alliance. Although his deductive prowess is on par with my own, his personality stops him from working with others, keeping him at rank number 4. He's the most unorthodox detective in the world, a real renegade, as true to his alias as can be. Again, I find myself astounded by the diversity within the DA's personnel. Despite his past, he must be an outstanding detective now. He did give us advice, after all, and even if he's terrifying, he surely has a talent for detective. I'll just have to find a way to trust him. Okay. Whispering this to myself, as if doing so will clear the dark thoughts clouding my mind. This has taken up more time than expected. Let's move on to the meat of the investigation. Renegade told us to inspect the scrap of carpet that he had been discovered. A careful analysis of evidence like this can help move the case along, potentially revealing new evidence squares. Of all the detectives nearby, Posh and Techie specialize in analysis. Let's have Posh take a look. No, it really did say annihilation, didn't it? Okay, so where's the tile? Also, what's this? Why is there, like, red things? Hours until Arcanimon. Oh my, Posh is disgruntled that we made her work with Gourmet. It would seem that she's blocked me from contacting her. We won't be able to intervene with her like this. She certainly is amusing, that Posh. What? So what do we do now? Detectives aren't programs, they're human. It's only natural for there to be detectives with cannot intervene. As such, whoever does the instructing must be able to adapt to the situation. In this instance, we can try giving directions to Techie instead. Techie should be capable of performing a precise analysis of this evidence. Now tell him to analyze the section of carpet. Okay, when the icon above the detective turns red, we will be unable to intervene with their actions. These individuals will decide actions on their own, so prepare for trouble and respond accordingly. Okay, once you've collected, evidence you've collected can be analyzed. Each piece has an assigned difficulty. Higher levels require higher analyzation. Note that items acquired from an MP do not require additional analysis. Evidence from an ES, however, can be analyzed by a detective of sufficient ability. Got it. So we want to analyze the carpet. The difficulty is 4, so he's Gucci. Form a preliminary investigation to have Techie analyze his evidence. Oh, it won't let me. So this is like purely a tutorial stage. The scrap of carpet. When we approach it scientifically, there's only one explanation for how it was cut. Quick, we need to investigate the floor of the entrance hall. Excellently done. Now we have something new to consider. There isn't much time, since we cannot direct Posh. What should we do to draw an inference on this new point of interest? Any thoughts? New MPs and ES will appear as the detectives advance the investigation. It is recommended to do a preliminary investigation first so that other detectives can still act afterwards. This will help streamline the process as they can then move closer to new MPs or ESs that appear. This is MP9. He can't move. And I can't command them. Oh, I can move her. So wait, that one's 9. So I could do inspection 5 plus assistance 4, which is 9. Intervene on Gourmet and Doleful and have them infer about the mystery. How come I can't confirm this? Oh. Well done. You are a joy to behold. I look forward to seeing the results of this investigation. Oh yes, if there's a detective who has yet to move, and you'd like them to go somewhere else, you should instruct them to do so. Take Teki, for example, since he's only done an analysis so far. This mystery is centered in the entrance hall, so let's have him head there. So you can analyze and then move. Okay, that's good to know. Wonderful, just like that. Now, when you want him to perform an action in the entrance hall, he can do so without wasting any time. But won't the mysteries we're investigating there be gone by then? I wonder about that. We'll just have to await the results of their deductions with bated breath. Also, I would suggest having any idle detectives inspect the area. Though it might not directly pertain to the case, they could happen upon something interesting. Now, once you're ready, instruct them to begin their investigation. Upon starting an investigation, those you haven't intervened with are predetermined actions. If you notice any idle detectives, it's a good idea to check what actions they can perform. Detectives that don't act can relocate to any space on the map. To do so, select move and press square. Be aware, however, that a detective will be unable to act after a map-wide move. Oh, interesting. But they can essentially work. Yeah, I kind of don't know what I want them to do. Okay, that's everyone, right? She's not listening. They're doing their thing. Real quick, guys, I'm gonna be right back, and then I'm gonna do this investigation. So enjoy the music. Why, hello. Okay. So, let's begin our investigation. This information seems useful. I should share it with the others. Oh, the floor on closer inspection. I can see gaps between the boards. Maybe that explains how sound travels so easily down below. The gaps are also wide enough to pass a wire through. This might have something to do with how the culprit dismembered the body. Aha! Solving the connection between the floor gaps and the carpet caused a mystery point and an evidence square to appear by the entrance. Then we made the right call having Techie Detective move to the entrance hall. Indeed we did. Sometimes solving one mystery leads to another. Be sure to keep that in mind. Alright, I'm not going to tell you what to do next. This time, you must command the detectives on your own. There's no way I can do that. Can't you? You've been given great direction so far, just as I anticipated you would. Now you must exceed my expectations. It's up to you to unravel this bizarre and formidable case. Her hydrangea eyes bore into me, rendering me speechless. She's serious. Her gaze holds no mirth, only anticipation. The chief of the DA is looking to me, an utter incompetent. Watch them pull up. They could pull a Coco head and be like, "Surprise! You're actually number one of the DA. You just forgot." Surely she will be fine. I would like to believe that, Nano, because I like her too. If I turn back now, how will I ever become an exceptional detective? I'll do it. In fact, I'll go above and beyond. Good. Show me how your mind works then. I took the D-pad, the gears in my brain whirring frantically. Some mystery points are locked. You can access these MPs by solving other MPs beforehand or by analyzing evidence. Detectives will still attempt to investigate locked MPs, so be sure to analyze whenever possible. Why? Okay. So, this investigation point... Does this count? Also, do we have anything to analyze? No, huh? Oh. I guess I'm analyzing? Is it worth checking out this? So she can't leave. That's interesting. Well, I can't infer. So I guess they're all inspecting? Question mark? Oh yeah, I can make him leave this room. How do I get into that room? Okay, so wait, I'm gonna have her do a map-wide move. And we're gonna go here. And she just won't be able to do anything for the next couple rounds. I'm really tempted to do that with him too. See, this one yeah, you know what? We're gonna do the exact same fucking thing. Alright. And okay, so he can't do any action that turn. That makes sense. I'm just gonna leave Doleful to his own devices, because I don't really know what else to tell him. So this one's kind of a flop. What is this switch on the wall? There's a separate one for the lights, so this must be for activating something else. Oh. The fuck? A switch? So I want him to inspect, and I want her to inspect. Oh wait, what if we analyze the switch now? Which we can. So let's do a preliminary. This information seems useful. I see. This switch winds the chandelier's chain back up, suspending it from above. Were you to utilize that potential energy... Splendid. We couldn't infer anything about that MP before, but analyzing the evidence has made it possible. This will happen quite often. Always ensure you find the information needed to properly make an inference. Hey, okay. So that was a 13. Can 2 people assist? So wait. I guess. We might have to wait till next turn. Oh, so it takes up an action. To do the warp. Oh. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, have her go there. Are there any other... I kind of assumed that those red points on the map were like significant, but they didn't seem to do anything when I examined them. Okay, can we infer? Pushing the switch makes the chandelier go back up. If this was used in the crime, there should be something else mounted just above the chandelier. I have to get up there. Don't overexert yourself, okay? Doleful. You figured out what's going on, so let me check the ceiling for you instead. Entrance door. Oh, investigation completed. Sure. Oh, but we didn't get all the keywords. So I shouldn't have done that. Well, shit. Okay, we'll know for next time. The keywords are the red spots. Wonderful. You gave clear instruction. I'm grateful to have you with me. I told the others to meet by the fireplace. We should hurry there ourselves. Everyone's dead for missing it, imagine. It's time for all of us to get to the bottom of this intricate, baffling case. Excuse me, Ideal? I call it to stop Ideal Detective as we make our way back. Please tell me, what's the real reason you brought me to this island? I can't help but ask. I need to know the rest of what she was going to say earlier. After all, why would someone as bumbling as myself be invited to stand amongst a talented crowd of detectives like this? And for the chief of the DA to place so much trust in me, it's nothing short of bizarre. I understand my limitations better than anyone. My talents are undeserving of your good graces. But the real kicker is the way you clearly know me. Just what is it you want from me? What's a nobody like me even doing on this island? My shouts echo down the hall as every pent-up question I have comes bursting out at once. I can't understand why this world-famous detective would act so cryptic toward me. Sorry, I've been a bit mean-spirited, haven't I? Ideal gives a wry smile, then scratches her cheek. My inner devil wanted to see that bewildered look of yours, and it got the better of me. I'd been planning to keep quiet until you noticed. This is our first meeting in 10 years. After all, surely you can understand how I'd want to surprise you a bit, Watto. Our first meeting in 10 years. Wait, did you just call me Watto? Could it really be? My heart catches in my throat. Only one person, someone I met 10 years ago, called me by that name. Isn't that his name? But there's just no way. I've dreamt of this reunion for ages. Inviting you here wasn't completely outrageous now that you've been scouted into the DA. My real name is Saika Sharonford Holmes. 10 years ago, you saved my life. Death flag's fully set. Childhood friend. It's impossible! My voice comes out in a shout before I could curb it. I breathe deeply, but the shock won't subside. Ideal detective is Saika? That can't be. I saw her covered in blood right before me. There's no way Saika is alive. Avenging her had been my motivation all this time, but now... Calm yourself. Ideal comes closer and softly cups my cheek. I'm startled by the sudden intimacy, but her arm around my waist keeps me in place. You seem to have lost your memories of our time in that prison. It must have left quite the emotional scar. No need to force yourself. It'll only cause your heart grief. Remember little by little about how you rescued me that day. Did I really? Yes. What I said to the others wasn't a lie. You truly did save me. You're the reason I'm alive today. But our enemy is far more cold and calculating than anticipated. I have no hope of preventing the DA's eradication alone. I need your help, Watto. I summoned you here because I'm in desperate need of your abilities. For now, please just believe me. Ideal gazes at me with a sadness that reminds me of the Saika I once knew. That vulnerable, girlish expression taking the place of her usual sagacity was nearly identical. But I can't help but wonder if this is truly the same person. I mean, isn't the hair different? Is it really you, Saika? You finally used my name. I couldn't be happier. A relieved smile spreads across Ideal Detective's face. It doesn't seem like an act. She's sincerely happy to be reunited with you. Remember, we detectives only share our true names with those we completely trust. No matter who doubts or suspects you, be it the others or even yourself, I will always be on your side. So stay by mine and observe my work. I'm certain you'll recall the truth if you do. Ideal steps back from me, her expression already reverting to its usual dignified air. Between her countenance as chief of the DA and as a vulnerable girl, I'm not sure which is real. There's so much cause for suspicion, and yet, still don't know the truth. But I'll choose to believe in your words, which is to say, I want to believe them. I've played the past out in my mind countless times, wishing I could have saved you, Saika. Wasn't able to do so back then, so I truly want to believe what she's saying, that Saika's alive. Although she just told you that she did get saved by you, which I kind of feel like she's gaslighting, if we're being completely honest. Even those sweet words are mere deceit. But still, I don't buy it 100%. Like you said, I'll stick with you and try to figure things out, such as whether or not you're telling the truth. That's all I wish for, Watto. Observe my every move with your utmost attention. If I have one request, however, it's that you stop calling me Ideal. It's far too formal for my liking. When it's only the two of us, would you mind calling me Saika, like back in the old days? Wait a second, I didn't mean I actually believe you're Saika yet. Stubborn as ever, aren't you? And always over the silliest things. Very well, address me as Holmes then. The other detectives know me by this name, so that shouldn't be a problem. Got it. This is our first step toward friendship, Watto. Holmes' face beams with genuine elation. The fact that it's moving me so easily is proof that I'm a rookie detective. Come on, Watto Hojo, get it together. Oh, that is totally a play on words that they're doing. Watto, Watson, Watto-san. The D-pad pings with a notification. The others must have gathered the by now. Now, shall we close the book on this case? I follow Holmes as she heads to the living room. I have no clue what she could want from me, but I've decided to trust her for now. If I stay by her side, the truth behind why I was brought here may finally come to light. All 13 detectives, including Holmes and myself, gather around the room. Class trial? It's punishment time! Holmes adds a few logs to the crackling fire before turning to address us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank each of you, for doing your part. Due to your efforts, we have uncovered the method used to dismember Senior Detective. Now it's simply a matter of lying it out. Logic gummy ship. Never funking again. And please tell us, Holmes, who's the culprit? How like a commoner to heedlessly jump the gun before revealing the culprit. Is there not a matter we must clarify first? And what matter would that be? Why, the method by which Senior Detective was slain, of course. I agree. Instead of focusing on who did it, let's consider who could have done it and eliminate some of the obstacles in our way. How do you suppose Senior Detective was killed, Posh? To put simply, with an artifice working in concert with a chandelier trap. Concert with a chandelier trap? You mean I set it into motion when I opened the door? Wait, did that happen? I so don't remember the chandelier coming down. The chandelier had crashed down the moment I stepped through the entrance of the manor. After that, I was out cold until the DA arrived. The culprit utilized the trap, but for what purpose? Have you ever played with clay incompetent? Say you wanted to cut it in half as cleanly as possible. How would you do it? Even a knife would give you some trouble, no? Yeah, they are gaslighting. Back in school, I remember we learned to wrap a nylon string around the clay and pull it to split it apart. Good. Now for the next question. Oh, that's right, that's right. Following that principle for cutting clay, what would happen if you wrapped a sharp wire around a person, then tightened it? Senior Detective's mutilated body flashes across my mind, and my skin prickles. That wire was definitely sharp enough. If you were to wrap it around someone and yank it, they would be sliced apart almost effortlessly, just like clay. You get the idea, I presume. If one wanted to cut something with a wire, their best option would be to wind it around and pull. Clay is one thing, but could you really pull hard enough to, like, slice a guy up? Because FYI, that stuff does not look easy to handle. A salient question, downtown. Indeed, the crux of this trick is how the wire was tightened. So, what method could have been used to pull the wire once it was wrapped around Senior Detective? Any ideas, Posh? The culprit may have had a dash of cleverness up their sleeve, but my upper-class intellect saw right through it. Most of the girls seem pretty good. All the girls are good except for Gourmet. Actually, I'm not really the fan of Rowdy that much either. Put simply, the culprit used the falling chandelier to pull the wire taut. How would they do that? The chandelier's up in the entrance hall, but the crime took place down in the basement, right? Arrgh. Dear me. Very well, I shall elucidate the matter so elegantly that even a commoner would understand. The wire was attached to the chandelier, so they would move in tandem. When the latter fell, the former would wind up automatically. Excuse you, the explanation is mine to give. Posh Detective cuts Holmes off with a huff and then continues where she left off. After sedating Senior Detective, the culprit affixed the wire to the chandelier. which had been lowered to the floor. Oh, and then they rose the chandelier to cut him. Yikes. Then they threaded the wire through the gaps in the entrance hall floor, allowing them to connect it with the basement. Would a wire really fit through the floorboards though? Certainly, if the cracks are large enough for the sound to travel between two spaces, a thin wire should pose no issue. Once the wire fed down to the basement was wound around Senior Detective, the chandelier was raised back into position. The chandelier came plummeting down later on. It pulled the wire taut and dismembered the victim in one fell swoop. And voila! The culprit managed to kill Senior Detective without dirtying their hands and successfully obscured the time of death. A superb deduction, but I would like more conclusive evidence. Watto, do you remember the trace this gimmick left behind? Yeah, the cut carpet. The trace it left behind. Now that she mentioned it, something suspicious did catch my attention during the investigation. Wait, what? Oh, I didn't notice that about the chandelier. Yeah, I'll say scratched chandelier, maybe. Interesting, this trust level mechanic. The scratches on the chandelier, those must have been left by the wire when it scraped against the metal. Wait a minute, are these keywords things? We're gonna be missing one at some point. Excellent, that's precisely right, Watto. The chandelier is quite durable, so if anything were to cause such a scratch, it would have been an extraordinarily sharp. Like a wire saw, capable of cutting through even steel, perhaps. It's just like you said, the wire saw and chandelier trap were paired up for this little stunt. So, how's it feel, Incompetent? Is what feel? Slow on the uptake, aren't we? I was gonna say that we killed him. What I mean is, how does it feel to know that Senior Detective was killed by the chandelier trap? He wouldn't have gotten hacked to pieces if you never opened the door, you know? Shock lances through my spine and I begin to break out in a cold sweat. So it was all because of me. If I hadn't triggered the trap, then Senior Detective would still be alive. Even now, I can feel the doorknob in my hand. To think that at that moment, a man was being sliced apart right below my feet. Trap that I triggered. How does your first kill feel? Like sinking into the mud of a swamp, huh? Worry, you'll get used to it. Stand down, Renegade Detective. Otherwise, your lips shut until I say otherwise. I mean, keep your lips shut. Don't glower at me like that. Makes me tingle all over. This is your second and final warning. Shut your mouth. Cowed by Holmes, Renegade Detective seems to cut his losses, backing down. Holmes then turns to me, all signs of anger wiped clean from her face. I know you're shaken, Incompetent, but you need to set that grief aside for now. And the rest of you, save your blame and suspicions. Any of us could have triggered the trap at that door. It was unavoidable. As a matter of fact, Incompetent actually did something remarkable. His actions forced the culprit to make a fatal error. Did something remarkable? What could she mean by that? As much as I want to demand the answer, I wait to hear the rest of her deduction. Yo, Posh, the crook used the fallen chandelier to cinch the wire, right? Did I not say as much? The wire worked in concert with the chandelier. Yeah, but wouldn't that just move Senior up and down with the chandelier? That wouldn't really be enough to kill him, right? What? I see what you're saying, Rowdy. For the wire to dismember Senior Detective, a strong upward force would be required. I mean, he got smacked into the roof, right? And you're suggesting that using the downward momentum of the chandelier wouldn't have accomplished that, correct? Downward momentum? Not sure I follow you there, but yeah, something like that. You're right, this is a sticking point. Whatever to do, could you provide us a rejoinder, Posh? Right, well, you see, the thing is, throw her a lifeline, incompetent. Do you recall who was initially investigating with Posh? There was only one detective who was initially investigating with Posh at the start, and that was Gourmet. Gourmet, am I right to assume you figured out how the chandelier's downward momentum was used to kill Senior Detective? Oh my, you look like you were just about to get to the tasty part, so I didn't want to interrupt, but if you insist. The culprit used a pulley system to connect the wire, and dear Senior along with it, to the chandelier, piece of cake. Of course, they used a pulley system. It was so obvious, I suppose it just slipped my mind.
We know the murder weapon is the shot with ball.
A pulley system? Like what you'd see in a well? How would that help in this situation? It's not as tricky as it seems. Here, I'll break it down for you with a diagram. No matter how many times the chandelier has been dropped, it can always be raised back up to the ceiling using the wall switch. That mechanism can bear considerable weight, so much that it was able to lift a voluptuous vixen like myself with ease. Hoisting dear Senior up would have been even easier, considering how much lighter he is. You're saying you rode the chandelier up to the ceiling? Oh yes, it was quite the wild ride. Plus, I discovered a juicy clue when I reached the top. It was a hook. The one the wire was probably hung on. It's designed for mountaineering, so it'd be sturdy enough to withstand the tension. With the wire draped over the hook, then tied to the chandelier, you could adjust the slack in the wire with a sharp jerk. Dear Senior would have been bound to the ceiling, unable to do a thing. What a horrible trick. The traces of necrosis on Senior Detective's limbs indicate that he was pinned up there for quite some time. I shudder to think of it. With the pulley system in place, all that would remain is to descend the chandelier with a rope and wait for someone to open the door. But how would you gather up the rope you used to climb down the chandelier? Oh, you precious dimwit, you! There are so many ways one could collect it after the fact. For example, you used a bowline or slip knot. You could undo it upon reaching the ground with a simple tug. I'll show you sometime. I'm at a loss for how to respond when presented with these not options, as if they're obvious possibilities. Aside from armor, no one seems phased, as if it was just common detective knowledge. I really am terrifyingly out of my depth here. There you have it. The culprit finished their preparations long before we even arrived on the island, and put the manor behind him. And then I opened the door, triggering the trap. So they're saying the culprit isn't in the building, and it's none of our characters. That's good. Because I'd be sad if we had to, like, if one of them was a traitor already. Then I opened the door, triggering the trap, yanking the wire up with the pulley system and slicing Senior Detective apart. basement. Think that someone could orchestrate such a kill while their victim remained down in the basement. I just can't fathom it. I feel a shiver run down my spine at the hidden culprit's ingenuity, as well as their barbarity. What a craven deed! Using another's hand instead of dirtying one's own to commit so heinous an act. It is beyond forgiveness. So the torn pieces of carpet I found in the entrance hall was cut by the wire as it shot up from the basement, right? Correct. I analyzed the fragment and can attest with 100% certainty that it was severed by the wire. When the wire was pulled up through the gap, it shifted and sliced the carpet in one spot. Therefore, the culprit never did a trial run. How sloppy they must be to leave so many clues. They never stood a chance at besting me, heir to the illustrious Pinkerton name. But the question still remains, who's responsible for all this? Huh? Is it not clearly this commoner who opened the door? He was disreputable from the start. No, once the trick was set up, the culprit would merely have to wait for someone to inevitably open the door. In other words, it could have been anyone. Triggering the trap may make incompetent the prime suspect, but he's still one of our own. Now, hold on, workaholic. What could you possibly mean by that? We spent hours traveling here from mainland today. In what universe could any of us have been responsible for this crime? Your suggestion is deplorable, even for a commoner. Those peeps in Snarks were killed like over a day ago, right? Doesn't that mean one of us could have done it back then? The killer could have wiped out everyone on the island, set up the trap, and then bounced to meet up with us and put on the innocent acts. If the culprit really is the quartering duke, they could totally pull that off. That piece of trash is literally the worst. He's like the reason we even have to be here in the first place. The nerve! How dare they turn us on one another! Hey now, let's back it up here a bit. There's something that makes this even worse, you know? Renegade Detective cuts in briefly. Even worse? How do you mean? Isn't it obvious? Things would be fine if we could still track down the culprit. But worst case scenario, they've already escaped the island. The atmosphere tenses in an instant. As much as we hoped to believe otherwise, it was a possibility we couldn't ignore. If we're assuming this is the work of the quartering duke, isn't it only rational to conclude he's booked it by now? He successfully destroyed HQ after all. He even left us with a parting gift of Senior Detective's murder. Why stay after that? If it were me, I'd hightail it the second I was able, never to return. That way, I wouldn't even be suspected. Unless I had a strong motive to do otherwise, that is. No one can argue with Renegade's words. I suppose it takes a homicidal maniac to give us some perspective on another. Just like he said, it'd be counterintuitive for the culprit to remain or even return to the island at this point. Then the case is... Yep, if anyone's to blame, then we may as well be mass guessing. That's an impasse if I ever saw one. I examine everyone's faces again. Their eyes are filled with suspicion and hostility that wasn't there before. I believed I could trust them just moments ago, but now a dark shadow hangs above us. If the culprit already fled, we'll never track down Senior Detective's killer. But if they're still here, they could very well be among us. Either way, it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's no surprise the team's morale has taken a hit. Okay, so... Wait. Riddle me this. What if they decide that the culprit escaped the island, and then Chapter 2 kicks off with another one of them dying? Also, I feel like the actual murderer in the group, Renegade Detective, could just... They wouldn't go the easy route with this. They will all be fine. Stiff upper lip, ladies and gentlemen. This investigation hasn't ended yet. Holmes's voice dispels the gloom. It's true. Regardless of our actions, the reality of the situation is a tragic one. However, it's a detective's duty to attend to the aftermath of any tragedy. If we hesitate, who else will take the mantle? Huh? Holmes sends a wink my way before making her announcement. As mentioned previously, the culprit made one fatal error, which I shall now share with you all. After all, reversing tragedies is precisely what we must do, ladies and gentlemen. So, this whole progression of the way this is going is interesting. But I think this is making me appreciate the breaks that Danganronpa class trials give you in the form of the minigames. And I don't like minigames, but it forces you to have in-between periods where you stop and figure shit out yourself, as opposed to just kind of being explained all the mysteries by the party members, which I kind of feel is what's happening here. Again, maybe this is just me comparing this to the way my favorite visual novel series goes about things, but like, it does feel a little bit just like, okay, our character is literally called the incompetent detective, and then we just go to this discussion, and the other characters are just like mansplaining everything to you because your character sucks. DR2, Chapter 5 Logic Dive reveals causing mass chaos. I feel like it could all be a setup for later things. That's true, Nano, that's true. And I will say this game surprisingly has gameplay to it, and it's not purely a visual novel. I was expecting a pure visual novel. But that little board game investigation thing is actually refreshingly good, in my opinion. I think... Okay, wait, I might have just figured something out. Visual novels that include side gameplay content tend to be considered high tier, in my opinion. Danganronpa has the mini-games, and it's just overall generally top tier. Zero Escape has the escape rooms, and 13 Sentinels had the tactics mode. That means that 100 line is beelining to be one of the greats, right? We can all trust that. Digimon?
Oh my goodness.
It's unfortunately, games that have both are not always good. But the good ones do have side gameplay elements. Like, I definitely tend to like them less if it's pure visual novel. I like there to be something for us to like do while we do other shit. Like, I'm trying to think, even Buried Stars wasn't pure visual novel because there were still those, like, you could choose where to go and what things to say to the other characters. I think... Oh my fucking god, the Somniums. Time for the dating sim part of the game. I mean... The cast is predominantly pretty girls. Paranormosite was pure VN. No. Paranormosite had, like, exploration? Like, when I say pure VN, I'm saying, like, Steins Gate, or, like, why am I blanking on the name? We just played this game. Fata Morgana was very pure VN. I think what I'm getting at here is that, like, when the story is good, if it's accompanied by things that kind of give the player a break to, like, soak it in while they do something, that works for me really well. You know what? Even the this is probably the only positive thing I will ever say about the Somniums, but they do provide that. Oh, it's fine, Mars, you're fine. Especially since you're reading everything out loud, it's a nice break. Eesh. Is that why I'm saying this? Like, is that actually... Like, if you unpack my mind, is that actually the reason?
Mind hacking.
Allow me to cut through those words.
It doesn't help, too, that before I streamed today, Chief and I played 3 hours of Eden's Garden. So, it's like we... Yeah.
Get me out of here, 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 get me out of here!
There will be more Eden's Garden voice lines coming soon, by the way. There's a few lines that I need. That I didn't know that I needed. Yeah, I am. And actually, my opinion on some of the characters changed a little bit. He called Cassidy female hero, and I stand by that, actually. But she's still better than Hero, because honestly, fuck Hero. Cassidy's the streamer, yeah. Yeah, she didn't like Wolfgang, he's my best boy, so there's a problem.
So the Holy War begins.
Yeah, we had the Holy War. I'm trying to think, who is...
Get me out of here, 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 get me out of here!
Who was your favorite? Was it Grace? Aside from trying to voice her, because Australian accents are hard to wrap our American minds around. We all thought we wouldn't like Grace, and then she popped off. Yeah, and then she was fucking amazing. You know who actually was super woke about Grace was Tom. I think Tom liked Grace from the get-go, and then saw that she was, like, not an idiot. Yeah, oh god, Eden's Garden's gonna be so fucking good. After playing it again, I'm, like, super on the hype train. And when they announce Chapter 1, I will replay the prologue on stream again, fully voiced, so please look forward to it. Fucking love Ava. Love Wolfgang. No, don't say it. It's... It's coming out this month.
Who, me?
Yeah. This month or next month? Or by November at the very latest? Please.
So saved.
Not decades! You know, something interesting though? Eden's Garden is really unique in the sense that, imagine playing only Danganronpa 1's prologue.
Kids are gonna love them. Everybody loves them.
So, if you knew the characters for 2 years and then one of them died, like, I feel like the dramatic effect is that much greater. Like, when Chapter 1 comes out and one of those characters murders another one, I'm going to be legitimately sad. like, wow, I've spent 2 years thinking, wow, this isn't a live character in a game that I can't play because it's being made. And then one of them is gonna leave the cast forever. 2 of them will leave the, I mean, minimum, right? 2 of them will leave the cast, and I will be sad. Oh my god. You would think that that wouldn't be the case, but you know, this game is gonna take forever to come out. We've accepted it. And we will be doing other things in the meantime. Like this game is lovely. If Kai dies, I wouldn't be that upset. You're right, I think Kai dying would be the one character that I'm like, okay. Actually, Desmond, I don't really care for Desmond at all. I think he's very plain. Desmond is kind of an Ifrit character though, because he's a male archer. It's lovely until a maid detective shows up. Oh, there better not be a maid detective, Bubble Wander, I swear to God. Yeah, they could, if chapter 1 is Kai kills Desmond or Desmond kills Kai, then I'll just be like, worst case scenario, chapter 1, Wolfgang and or Ava dies. Because they got so much buildup in the prologue, I would be devastated. But it could happen. So, we'll see. The group falls silent, listening intently to what Ideal has to say. For this particular trick, anyone could have performed the killing act so long as the proper preparations were made. It's possible the perpetrator has already fled, though if they are still present, they could very well be part of the DA. I had to look him up, but I like Jean. Oh, yeah. I think I could recite all the character names because I just played it. Right? There's Damon, who I like. Damon's great. He's the MC. Ava, who I think Ava's lying about her talent. Chances are high in these anime games, I know. This definitely looks like a game that would have a maid. There's Wolfgang, there's Grace, so the lawyer and the golfer, right? There's Toshiko, the matchmaker. She seems... I think she's a sus plant, but Chief just thinks that she's a cocky child, and that's kind of a refreshing take on her, because that could 100% be what all of her motivation is. Because, you know, kids are always wanting to act like they're older than they are, and like they're more mature or whatever, and that's kind of the air that she gives, so definitely fresh. Then there's Desmond, the marksman, Eloise, the fencer, who's a sweetheart, and I will be so devastated when she's murdered. Ingrid, the blacksmith, another great character, and I like doing her voice. Ulysses, the historian, love Ulysses. I also think he will get murdered. Jean, he's the ship captain, right? Jean actually is surprisingly, like, he comes across as a dope when you first meet him, but I think that he's gonna be more helpful. Like, I'm seeing more of like a Nekomaru angle with him and not like a total idiot. Then there's Kai, the influencer, hate him. Diana, the cosmetologist, love her. Jet, the drag racer, kind of is giving me hero vibes, if I'm being honest. Mark, the musician guy with the alligator beanie. No, I'm a streamer, not an influencer. Also, there's Cassidy, the streamer, the actual streamer, to the effect that Chief even said that she's me, and then I was like, no. And then he also said that she's female hero, so now I don't know what to think. Am I forgetting someone? Oh, Winona. Winona is the ultimate entrepreneur girl, and she's super fucking cool. But she gives me Celeste vibes hard. If Mark dies. I feel like he won't. He was too quiet in the beginning of the game. I feel like he's gonna have like a glow up later in the game. Also, one thing I noticed in the prologue is that, like, it mentions that Mark glares at you in the beginning of the game, and it never goes into why. If Jean or Jet die, there will be fighting words. I should do it. I should make a video about this. There are characters in that cast that I almost guarantee will die in the first 2 chapters. Could die in the first 2 chapters. But you have to always be wary that, like, the devs are also thinking the player is gonna think what I'm thinking, so maybe they kill somebody that you expect to live a long time early. And you don't know if they're playing that, like, that game with you or not. But I would say, like, the first 2 chapters of the game are probably, like, Desmond, Eloise, Jet, Ulysses, Toshiko, and honestly, maybe Ava. Like, those are the ones that I'm kind of expecting to die. I'm really hoping that Ava is our Kyoko. Yeah. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm getting very distracted, sorry. Eden's Garden, discussion hour is ending. Even though, oh god, I love it so much. I love it so much. I love it so much. How does Holmes intend to turn such a desperate situation around? I believe someone has yet to share their theory, Incompetent. You know whom I refer to, yes? The investigator who hasn't spoken yet is Bookworm. Bookworm-san. Bookworm, you were looking at the fireplace when you noticed something, right? What was it you saw? So you were spying on me, huh? Get lost and die, Humbert, said the girl to the perverted youth, her detest for him clear on her face. What? No, that's not... So, I'm just realizing, I thought it was weird that when Bookworm's dialogue comes up, it has quotations and then a description as if you're reading a book. And I'm like, why would a visual novel do this? And actually, it's her saying that entire statement because she's a bookworm. Anyways. That's enough, Bookie. Apologies, Incompetent. I'm afraid her social graces are a bit lacking. Oh, don't worry about it. I give a strained laugh as I attempt to recover from the mental blow I was just dealt. Can only speak in quotes. Funny. Yeah. Weren't you chomping at the bit to tell everyone about the fireplace? Come out and say it. I intended to whether or not I was asked. Puffed the girl matter-of-factly before beginning her explanation. When we first entered, this fire was lit. Something felt off about this, so I spent my time pondering the matter. The girl began. Something was off. What matter are you talking about? This style of hearth isn't commonplace in this country, so it's no surprise that you would be unaware that these fires don't burn for long. Yeah, she really is saying it. Nano, it took me up until now, and we've probably read at least 20 lines of hers, with me thinking in my head, like, why is this game describing it like that? And it's actually just a quirk because she's a bookworm. Oh, it's Locha. Oh god. What happened to him? Somebody shaved that terrible mustache. Hey John, let me know when the next Locha banner in HSR is. I need to come back. And I need to do it before Archer's there. Unless wood is added regularly, they will not last more than 6 hours. Even 5 would be an exceptional amount of time. Huh, so it really needs to be tended to. But isn't it possible someone started a fire because they were feeling cold? I know it's March, but this island gets pretty chilly. UBW collab is insane, I know. And Archer is like OG anime crush from when I was in high school. So I'm like, I have to play the fucking game. Locha is old news, Pangy. We are Mose stands now. Do I need to look this up? Archer? So he's a Fate Stay Night character, Mars? Do exclamation point waifu Archer. Just do it. Honkai Star Rail. No. Do exclamation point waifu space Archer. There you go. Jose. Oh. Wait, this character does... This looks cooler than Luocha. What? Wait, is this character out? He's a 4-star? Is this person coming to HSR? Yes. So they're having a collab. They're having a collab in 2025 with Fate Stay Night, and Archer is confirmed. He's literally my favorite Fate character. Right, we could max him out. Although if I was playing the game, I'm sure I would summon on other banners. He just came out? Wait, this Mozu person? Hozu? It's actually just Shiro Emiya? That's technically correct, isn't it? I don't know, we have to play the Fate VN in order to, like, explain this, because I don't know. Yeah, Fate lore is weird. Let's just part. No. I want to do the visual novel, but I'm scared that there's gonna be like porn in it. Does anyone know? Does the one that came to Switch have porn? I don't trust the VNs. Okay, so wait, maybe you're thinking the same thing. It's like I'm pretty sure. Okay. I just thought I saw a screenshot on Twitter of, like, Saber literally getting backdoored, and, like, I just hope that wasn't the Switch version. let's play full service. Let's play Fate Extella. I have that. It's for the PS4, I think. And it's a shitty beat 'em up with Fate characters in it. You tried? Oh, is it that bad? Rosen, I played that game once, and I never put it in my PlayStation again. I think I knew it was bad, and now I'm just thinking back on it like, wait, Fate's cool, maybe I should give it another try. Even the Fate characters couldn't save it? Oh god. Isn't there another? There's two of them, isn't there? I think there's another Fate Extella game. Umbral Link. My feeling towards that is very this. Alright. I can't be chatting in my own chat. That is vile. I love that emote so much too, Jaw. You know what it is, Jaw? We just love dogs a lot, so when we are presented with something this powerful, we can't help it. No proper detective would use a fireplace at a crime scene, you sexual deviant, said the girl, chiding the would-be offender. Oh. Yes, that's like Christmas dog Heather. Is it Christmas? I don't know. At least we have the Heather emote for Twitch. That's what's important. And because of the subathon that we had earlier this year, I didn't need to make Heather a rave emote. Otherwise, I would have done it. I could still do it if you guys feel like you want rave, Heather rave, but we have regular Heather. Oh, right. It's as Bookie says, I doubt there is a soul among us who could use that fireplace in this situation. The only individual who would is the culprit. They had some incentive to ignite these flames, and it happened within the last several hours. Wait. Was it to burn the professor or senior detective's D-pad or something? You both noticed something vital. The very act of lighting the fire was quite a blunder on the perpetrator's behalf. It appears they were unaware of how long the fire would burn, but that is precisely why they lit it. There was no other choice. They had to light the fire. Oh, the gloves! That's right. Wait, didn't we find gloves? She found them in the fireplace. You had to be wearing gloves to handle the thin, sharp wire. Yeah, okay. Indeed, all to dispose of the gloves necessary to manipulate the wire saw. Saying this, Holmes fishes a single black glove from her pocket and waves it at us. As you all know, said wire saw is so fine that it requires specially made gloves to handle, gloves which the culprit possessed. Were these gloves to be found on any of our persons, the owner would be quite suspect. Ergo, their only recourse was to burn them. With that, Holmes flings the glove into the fireplace. It disappears into the flames, hissing all the while. It may have been made of sturdy material, but it clearly wasn't fireproof. I managed to find the burnt remains of a glove in the fireplace. The girl reported to the chief. So the glove didn't burn entirely despite the heat, perhaps forming a pact with the Ifrits that would have better served. Not sure what that means, so we'll just ignore that, the girl said dismissively. Brilliant discovery, Bookworm. From this, we can deduce that the culprit lit this fire in an attempt to dispose of the gloves. Now, what further conclusions can we draw? I'm sure you could tell us, Mystic. Naturally, had the culprit escaped the manor, they could have discarded the gloves any number of ways, not least of which being the ocean.
近くに海もあるのだからな。
I wonder if someone is crazy enough to figure out all of her quotes. Well, she's not quoting... No. So, she's bookworm because she she announces her own words and thoughts as if she was writing a book. So it's like she's verbalizing something that she would write down. Which is super anime and nerdy, but I kind of don't mind it. Yeah, she's a self-narrator Chan. Naturally, had the culprit escaped the manor, they could have discarded the gloves any number of ways, not least of which being the ocean. The fact that they attempted to do so within the manor suggests that a getaway was not in the cards. Okay, so that confirms that the culprit's still with them. Super dork, yeah. So wait, Rosen is turning into bookworm lock? Rosen book?
Yeah?
Why is that yours?
Good.
Yes, precisely so, Mystic. The sole path from Gormenghast to Snarks is a straight shot. Apart from that, there is only a cliff no person could easily descend. Most importantly, during the several hours after our arrival, we never failed to keep watch. Not one soul fled the building. Put in another way, whoever lit the fire is still inside the manor as we speak, said the girl, following the chief's logic. They're still inside the manor. The detectives eye each other suspiciously. So, okay, here's another side commentary by Peggy Chan. Danganronpa very neatly says, hey, it's a chapter. Someone's gonna die, and if you find who did it, they're dead too. Other visual novels do not have this precedent. So, you're now trying to figure out at what point does the mystery stop and you move on to the next chapter? Do you condemn someone? Do you kill them? What happens to them? Is it an ongoing mystery for the entire game? We don't know. So, one of them very likely killed Senior Detective. Are we going to discover who did it? It kind of already sounded like Posh. No, Posh didn't know. But Ideal Detective seems like she knows who did it. Damn, this is definitely one of those moments where, like, I wish I could go back and view the specific sequence of when we entered the mansion, because I feel like there might have been a clue there that we didn't think about because we didn't know what was happening. Like, that's intentional. But now I'm just very curious. The detectives eye each other suspiciously. But of course, why wouldn't they? If the culprit is still inside the manor, that means they're hiding within our group. Remain calm, ladies and gentlemen. While it is dispiriting to have the culprit among us, there is one fact more critical than any other. The fact that the quartering duke is without a question inside this very manor. How can you be so sure? It's all thanks to your turning up here, incompetent. Me? What do you mean? Holmes chuckles lightly before continuing. The quartering duke, you see, did not account for your presence. Two fatal errors suggested this case. Firstly, a trace of the crime still remained. Had it all gone accordingly, I suspect the original plan would leave no such evidence. Then, as Renegade pointed out, we would have assumed the Duke already escaped, throwing our investigation into disarray. I see. If the Duke's goal was to put us off his scent, there wouldn't have been any need to engineer such a complex murder. For all intents and purposes, this should have been an unsolvable case. However, Incompetent triggered the trap earlier than anticipated. What's more, he passed out in the entryway. The culprit was likely panicking inside the manor, with all the windows fitted. The front door was the only means of escape. With this boy unconscious by the door, the chance of him waking and catching them as they fled was too great a risk. With no knowledge of his background or ability, it would be unwise to try and kill him. As the others were en route, the culprit opted to hide. Flustered, they saw their chance and used the fireplace to dispose the evidence. Well, my deduction is quite sound, yes? No one contradicts Holmes' statements. She's right. If there was any irregularity in the culprit's plan, it would be me. I may lack experience, and I failed to save Senior. But it's thanks to me that a major flaw was introduced to the murderer's plan. It's a bit ironic, really. Can I say I never considered that possibility? You have some nerve saying that after all your misleading comments, I'd wager that you had this figured out, but decided to stir the pot anyway. Now, wait just a moment. How can you be so certain the quartering duke is the culprit? The duke's murders are characterized by two simultaneous victims. Even with the deceased staff here, this case is entirely different. Therein lies their second mistake, Posh. Huh? Posh falls silent. Holmes turns her gaze to me and then smiles coldly before getting into the heart of the matter. In the original plan, the individual who opened the door was intended to spring the trap and to die alongside Senior Detective. That is to say, failing to produce a second victim was the quartering duke's greatest mistake. Beg pardon? Oh. Now I remember. When the trap sprung, I felt a pain in my head that led me to avoid the trap. By all means, I should have died right then. In other words, I narrowly avoided a tragic fate as the quartering duke's latest victim. Hold on, aren't we a bit quick to assume this was the duke's doing? Just because there could have been two victims, it may just be another copycat, you feel me? Stop asking questions you know the answer to, Renegade Detective. A fellow serial killer such as yourself ought to understand, This was not simply to sow the seeds of discord. It was a declaration of war. Killing Senior in such a risky way is proof of that. Reveal the truth, or you will all be dismembered. That is what this means to tell us. Things are getting interesting. I, for one, am ready to have a ball, my dear Holmes. With Renegade Detective satisfied, Holmes claps once, turning the attention back to her. Very good. Now to briefly summarize. The quartering duke came to the island a few days prior to our arrival, murdering all personnel present. He affixed Senior Detective to the chandelier, ensuring he would be killed when it descended. Following that, the duke left the manor. Later, while we were at the research facility, they sent a message to me using Senior's voice, luring a portion of the group back to the manor. In doing so, whoever opened the door to the manor would die at the same moment as Senior Detective, producing two victims, the Duke's modus operandi. This was also meant to conceal the Duke's presence and facilitate his escape amidst the chaos. Or so the plan went, at least. But it was that exact moment when things went awry, when an unforeseen individual triggered the trap earlier than expected. This deviation prevented the culprit from fleeing. In their panic, they disposed of the evidence in the fireplace, but it didn't burn completely. So concludes my synopsis. Now we must ask, where's the quartering duke? Surely, as the irregularity, you can tell us incompetent. Still inside the manor.
その通りだ。
Precisely, the quartering duke himself stands among our ranks.
無能君が生み出してくれた
We must take advantage of this opportunity. Incompetent has granted us. Having suffered blow after blow, it is now our turn to
私た
act.
ち全員で
The
追い込
game
ん
is
でやろうじゃない
afoot.
か。
Let us bring an end to this tragedy drenched in deceit.
お前さん頼む。
Hey! Cool! So we get a little summary. And kind of a banger song.
よでもまあ
Sure
そん
thing,
な
girl! We
事
can
件
like
の
put
推理
a
はこ
pause
こ
on
ま
the
で
whole
ってこと
investigation
よ
thing.
ね。
Given the situation, Downtown's casual demeanor feels monumentally out of place.
解ける謎はあらかた
We
解け
pretty
て
much solved the
これ以上は
mystery.
犯
All we
人を
gotta
踏ん
do
づ
is
かまえ
like
て解い
catch
た
the
出せ
bad
ばい
guy,
いじゃ
yeah?
ん。
Why don't we take a break
う
and
ち
chill for a
一
bit?
旦休憩にし
You
よ
know
う
why?
か。
I'm like mad
みんな
hungry
お
right
疲れ
now.
モードだし、
Besides, it's not
これ以
like
上話して
talking in
も拉
circles
致
is
あか
gonna
ん
go
で。
anywhere if we're all running on empty.
さすがは渋谷殿、良いことを言うのである。
Here, here, Lady Downtown. Pray, let us heed her
どう
wisdom.
せ犯人は
The
この
culprit
洋
was
館から出ら
unable
れ
to
るの
make
で
their
あろう。
escape, correct?
なら
In
ば
which case,
我
we
ら
ought
が
to
まず
regain
こ
our
の動
strength
き
and
は
prepare for
犯
the
人と
battles
の
to
決
come.
行に。
それもそうだね。
A valid point.
今度からこ
Factoring
の
in
島の移
travel
動時
time,
間
we've been going at it non-stop for about a day and a half so far. Holmes chuckles ruefully at Downtown and Armor's comments, but speaks with a clear, firm voice.
渋谷君の言う通り交代で
Let us take
洋館の
turns
出入り
standing
口
watch at the door. In the meantime, as Downtown suggested, the rest of us can relax and enjoy a meal. With Holmes's words, the group lets out a collective sigh of relief. No one has to say it. We're all clearly exhausted. The detectives chattering away as we head toward the dining room. The atmosphere has become calm and relaxed. Despite that, the tightness in my chest won't disappear. I groan quietly as I feel another migraine on. It's just like when the chandelier fell, as if I'm not myself.
無能先輩大丈夫？
Hey, you good dude? Does your head feel okay? I've got some painkillers if you need them.
無理は良くないのであ
Mustn't
る。
overexert yourself. Hold tight. I shall be your steed to the dining hall.
大丈夫、大丈
Activating
夫。
future sight.
だから本部は
It looked like that he was remembering the bodies at the facility. It's fine. I really don't need to be carried. After some time, the pain recedes, but I can't understand it. Why is my body such a wreck?
渋谷さん。念のために。
Hey, Downtown, could I get one of those painkillers later, just in case?
りょうもちろん OK だよ。
Sure, no problem. Just don't forget, you owe me one now.
仮？
まあ通りま食堂行こ
On now, let's
う。置
hit
い
the
てかれ
dining
て変な
hall.
疑いか
Don't
けら
want
れた
anyone
ら
getting
最
all
悪だしね。
sus about us hanging out too long, you know? Downtown doesn't wait for me to respond, instead pulling my hand and leading me into the dining hall. Alright. Oh, this is neat. Oh, we haven't looked at this yet. Oh, cool, so we have stats. Rank 100. Oh, man. Okay, we are gonna go through all of these next stream. Yeah.
Wrong.
No, correct, we are, but my voice is dying, so I like that a lot. Lexicon.
I don't believe it.
Alright guys, I'm making the save. We got to the end of the first chapter, I think. And that was very interesting. I think this game is great. I'm feeling it.
Cause it's a game.
Anyways, guys, I'm gonna release a schedule for this week tomorrow. I'll be at least 2 streams. I'll be at least 2 streams during the week and 2 on the weekend. Who knows what else? Anyways, everyone, good luck on Monday tomorrow. I will see you guys this week. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.